Hey everybody, it's John from Seattle Coffee Gear. I'm in the commercial kitchen today. We're doing a crew comparison of two kind of entry to mid-level commercial espresso grinders. We have the Mazzer Super Jolly electronic in silver, and we have the Eureka Zenith 65E in black. So why don't we just jump right in and talk about some specs for each of these. Starting with the Eureka, this is a 65 millimeter burr grinder, in case you couldn't figure that out. It has a 510 watt motor turning those burrs. The Mazzer is 64 millimeter burrs and 340 watts turning those burrs as well. So slightly smaller burrs, slightly smaller motor. If you look at the case of each, the case on this one is either aluminum or steel. I haven't tested it with a magnet, but it is metal. Some of this is plastic. Just this piece is plastic. This is metal. The Mazzer is all metal. So I'd say the Mazzer gets a point there just for kind of overall durability. If you look at the dosing setups on each, they're both pretty similar in capability, I would say. So you have your two different dose buttons on each. The biggest difference is that you start the dose up here on the Super Jolly and you start the dose here on the Zenith. So I'll grab a portafilter and show you that. So here's my portafilter, and I'll show you here how the Zenith activates. I need to bring this spout down a little bit. You can lock this portafilter fork so it'll hold the portafilter nicely. I have it a little bit loose just so I can move it freely. But you'd put this in and press start and stop. So that's the grind activation on this one. If you want a continuous run, I'm gonna stop that, reset it. You just push and hold, and then it goes into continuous run. And you can tell that by the little circle on the display there. For the Mazzer, you come over here and then press either of the buttons, press again to stop. It doesn't save where you're at, so you can't pause your dose at all. And then you have a manual run button there, and then a double shot over here. For changing the dose on each of these grinders, on the Zenith, it's done by just highlighting the single shot or the double shot, and then going up and down. You can change it by 5/100ths of a second at a time. That's changing the dose. So if you press the plus and minus buttons at the same time, it'll lock it, so then you can't adjust the dose at all. So I'll unlock that for now. To adjust the dose on the Mazzer, I'm gonna lean this down so you can see it. You start by holding the menu button. Wait until that flashes, select one of your doses, and then you add or subtract time from there. So I'll hold that down again to save. And there you go. So the Zenith is definitely easier to program and to change the programming on, especially if you're testing out a shot, you're weighing it. It's really easy to just add and subtract time on that, instead of having to go into a menu, change it, then save it, then test it. It's just easier on the Zenith. For adjusting the grind setting on each of these grinders, it's both done just below the hopper here. The Eureka uses their patented method here where this adjusts the bottom burr, which is on the motor itself. So the top burr is stationary, which makes cleaning and changing the burrs pretty easy. The Mazzer uses an older design, in my opinion, with this upper, I'm gonna screw this back in. I had that out because I was dialing these in. Fun fact, you can shift this around where it goes on the collar. So if you run out of room, you can just take that out and screw it back in somewhere else. You twist the whole collar to change the grind setting. That's most of the functions on them. Power switches are right here on the side. The Eureka gives you a nice little startup logo there. That's pretty much everything. You get your hopper shutoffs here. I'd say the hopper on the Mazzer is a little bit nicer, just overall, in my opinion. Just the little things like this lid can feel a little bit cheap on the Zenith, whereas this one here is just a little bit better feeling plastic with the texture to it. And then the plastic on the hopper seems a little bit nicer. But that's just kind of nitpicky at this point, truly. But what I thought would be cool to do would be to grind a couple of shots in a row and then test our output weights just to see kind of how consistent these are from shot to shot. So the Eureka does have less age on the burrs than the Mazzer does. So take that with a grain of salt, just giving you a full disclosure there. But we'll start with the Eureka here. And I'm going to grind for, say, let's say 3 seconds, which is about a single shot on that. Let me change the Super Jolly. And just for comparison's sake, I'm going to change this one to 3 seconds as well. That would be a little bit less because the Super Jolly is a little bit slower in producing grinds. That's now saved. And this is zeroed out. So here we go. So my first one there is 9.4, 9.5. My second one is 9.6. .4. So we're staying pretty consistent. I am looking inside to make sure that this is clean each time. Let me do it one more time here. .7 or 9.8. So about 0.4 gram variance in a low to high there. So not too bad. This also doesn't have much coffee in the hopper, so that could be affecting it. But let's go ahead and test the Super Jolly. Again, this is clean, nothing in it. Not trying to pull any tricks. And we're still at 0. There's that. So 6.4, so about 3 grams less in the same time. Yes, I know we are wasting so much coffee. 6.6. .3. .6. So really the Super Jolly is a little bit tighter in variance than the Zenith in that super scientific test of 4 samples there. So take that as you will. The Zenith does have new burrs in it, so that could be affecting it as well. But overall, pretty good consistency. These are likely going to be like a secondary grinder or a grinder in a slower cafe, so you can check your dose a little bit easier, more consistently. So there's that. I'll grab a little plate and we can look at the grind samples side by side. So here are the 2 examples from each. The one on the left here is the one from the Super Jolly. The one on the right is from the Zenith. So probably the most apparent thing you can see here is just the extra clumps that come off the Mazzer. And just by the shape of them, that definitely looks like it's from the static screen that's inside the grinder. You can see that more up close in our review of it. The Zenith did have less clumps overall, still had some clumping. The Zenith uses the clump crusher or ACE system that Eureka has, but grind consistency wise is super hard to tell. I mean, from my eyeball comparison here, they do look pretty even to me, but we'll see how they taste in a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and do a taste test comparison. These are both dialed into a pretty similar spot. About 18 grams in, about 36 grams out, and then mid 20s on each of them. So I will prep each and then we will pull them. And do the Zenith first. 17.9 on that one. Pretty good. Here's my Zenith. It's actually a gram over. It's just funny because it hit it spot on the last time. And 18.1 there. And then there is my Super Jolly. So let's go ahead and put these both in the machine and see what we get. So I'm going to put the Super Jolly on the right and the Zenith on the left. We'll grab some scales and cups and get to brewing. All right, fire away. So it looks like the Super Jolly started first, which makes sense. It was pulling a little bit shorter than the Zenith was earlier. Keep an eye on this one. So 23 seconds there. And 26 seconds there. So 23, 26, and then 37 and 37. So pretty darn even. Let me grab 2 cups and we'll taste. Mr. Jolly, Mr. Zenith. So I'll start with the Zenith because I ground that first. It's pretty good, pretty clean. I'm not expecting to taste a massive difference between these two, to be honest. Kind of chocolatey. Maybe a little bit rounder, a little bit watery compared to that, just because it pulled a couple seconds faster. But I don't know. I can't really make a distinguishing. This one is 100% better than the other, but the espresso off both of them was really good. I would say that the Zenith was probably a little bit easier to dial in, just with the time there. And then also with that adjustment makes it a little bit easier. But you couldn't go wrong with either. I think the Zenith would save you a little bit more in cost in the long run, just because you're going to waste less coffee dialing it in. And then the Mazzer might last a little bit longer. It's just so hard to say because the rigors of cafe use can be hard on any grinder, but there is a longer history behind the Mazzer. So both are great grinders. I prefer the Zenith a little bit myself just because I value that ease of dial-in and the less coffee waste over possible longevity in the future. But check them both out on our website. The prices for each are both on our website, so check that out there. If you have questions about these grinders, this review, anything like that, drop us a comment down below and I can get back to you there. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for new videos when they come out and turn on the notification so you actually are notified when we release new videos. And if you've ever thought about owning a coffee shop, you want to know what it looks like or have questions about opening one or upgrading equipment, please give us a call. We'd love to chat with you about that. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.